Okay, as you see, I was on my Instagram for Rojo Chief Clothing, and I'm clicking on my online clothing store. And on here, I have clothes. I got hoodies, sweatshirts. If you like to buy them, long sleeve, short sleeve. I'm clicking on hoodies right now for men, and that's one. And then I'm clicking back just to show you fashions that I have for women. Like I have long sleeve shirt, okay? Then I even have clothing for babies as well and kids. So that's the onesie. You can get that in different colors, as well as t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeves for kids. So now let's get ready for the show. Okay, this is Kelly of Rojo Chief Clothing, and I'm here to talk to you about the McAlpin royal bloodline from Scotland, and also how that ties into Queen Elizabeth II, who's now deceased, and her son is now King of England, of which is also Great Britain as well, which includes Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, which makes up Great Britain, even though he resides in London. So this is the deal. You have people that believe that the children of Israel was just fictional story of make-believe fictional characters, and that the Vatican Church or the ancient Romans had concocted the story altogether. Then you have other people that actually believe that these were actual real people that lived and died in the timeline of history. So, and then you have some people that believe the 12 tribes of Israel was actually a personification of the 12 zodiac signs, and that Jesus was actually a sun god or sun deity like Aten, but that they chose to call him Jesus, the Romans, that is, with Constantine I and the Nicene Council. That's what a lot of people believe, and that the Romans were pagans, but at some point, the Roman Empire was eventually called the Holy Roman Empire, of which the Vatican and the Holy See comes out of. And a lot of the kings and queens of Europe fell underneath the power of the Holy Roman Empire or the ancient Roman Empire. And you have to think to yourself, these people was melanated people. These people would have been considered as Negroes. It was based upon their complexion and their phenotype and hair texture. But I know that the oldest Bible in history is in Ethiopia. And the former king of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, he was known as King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And you find that title in the book of Revelations when they talk about Jesus Christ as being the Lion of Judah. Now, the Lion of Judah, that corresponds with the zodiac sign of Leo, since Leo is the only zodiac sign that represents the lion. And the lion is the symbol of royalty. And Leo, it is the zodiac sign that deals with royalty and prestige, so on and so forth, right? And when you think about African royalty, that's the first thing that comes to mind is the lion. Because the lion is strong, the lion is the king of the jungle, the top of the pyramid, of the food chain, okay? So anyways, so in time, that became a symbol for the people in Africa that considered themselves to be Jews or the descendants of the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? So I just saying all that to say this, just to give a background of all the different ideologies pertaining to the children of Israel from a esoteric or pagan point of view, of people believing that these characters were just fictional characters and personifications of the astrology zodiac signs, astrological zodiac signs. And then the ones who believe that they were actually real people. And that's probably the reason why Queen Elizabeth II, why she had bowed down to King Halassi when she saw him. Okay. Let's see here. Right here I have a website that was given to me from a relative that is a McBean. Now McBain, Macbeth, like King Macbeth of the Shakespearean writings. King Macbeth, McBain, same family, same royal house from Scotland, which is tied in and related to my house, my royal house, which is the house of Alpin, okay? As in King Alpin, the father of Kenneth McAlpin, who me and my family members across the globe, but we get our last name from, because we came from that particular royal house of descent. And Kenneth had descended from, as I said in my previous video that I did 2 years ago, I've spoken about how the bloodline, it comes from Scotta. And then Scotta was married to a man by the name of Galios, who was supposed to have been a Greek king. However, that Greek king allegedly was supposed to have been descended from a king that was from Judah. His grandfather was supposed to have been Zara, according to the history of the bloodline coming from Scotland or Scottish people. That's what their claim is that King Galios was a descendant of Zara, and that Zara was from the house of Judah or the tribe of Judah. Okay? So let's get into this. It says the modern descendants of Zara, Judah, for at least 1,500 years before the coming of the Saxons into Britain, the two emblems of the Zara-Judah branch of the Israelitish tribe of Judah were the chief emblems of the British Isles, the red hand in Ireland, and the rampant red lion in Britain. The fact that the use of the rampant red lion as a clan and family emblem is found in Scotland indicates that many of the Scottish people are descended from Zara, Judah, by W.H. Bennett and John D. Keyser. When Jacob Israel gave his dying blessing to his 12 sons, he associated each of them with some animal, object, or personal characteristic which afterwards became the emblem of the tribe descended from him. Among those, the lion, the emblem of Jacob's fourth son, Judah, is of special importance. This lion, in a couchant lying down position, became the emblem of the tribe of Judah. Then, in a passant position, it became the emblem of the camp or bigard of Judah. Later, with the addition of a crown, it became the emblem of the royal house and throne of Judah. Still later, in a rampant, standing on the hind legs with both forelegs elevated posture, and with a crown. It became the symbol of the two-tribe house and kingdom of Judah. Yet this lion, usually portrayed as tawny or golden in color, is not the only emblem of the descendants of Judah, or even the only lion. Zara and Pharez. In the last 4 verses of Genesis 38, we find recorded the birth of twin sons to Jacob's 4th son, Judah. Notice what these verses say. Now it came to pass at the time for giving birth that behold, twins were in her womb. And so it was when she was giving birth that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, "This is one came out first." Then it happened, as he drew back his hand, that his brother came out unexpectedly, and she said, "How did you break through? This breach be upon you." Therefore his name was called Perez. Afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zara or Zara. This is one of the most important events recorded in Bible history. The births of a great many other people are recorded in the Bible, but this one case only are the details given. Why? Why is a particular birth singled out for such special attention? The birth was a matter of great and special significance because Judah's other sons could not inherit the prophetic promise. From his descendants will come the future royal family of the nation of Israel. This was because they were the children of a forbidden union. Their mother was a Canaanite. Therefore, the older of these 2 boys, destined to be the ancestor of the future royal family of Israel, the question of which of them was born first, and therefore the heir, was a matter of very great importance. It was also, as the Bible shows, the basis of beginning of serious family trouble. In the record of the birth, we find that the hand of Zara appeared first, and that the midwife tied a scarlet thread or cord around his wrist, saying, "This came out first." We then read that the hand was withdrawn and that the birth of Pharez ensued. Here indeed was the seed of family discord, which boy was the firstborn and therefore the heir. Zara, with the scarlet cord around his wrist, and the pronouncement, "This came out first," and or Perez, whose birth was completed first. Eventually, Pharez was declared the rightful heir, and from him descended the official branch of the tribe of Judah and the Davidic royal house. Now, how did Zara and his descendants react to what they undoubtedly considered a wrongful decision that robbed them of their rightful inheritance? That they did not accept this ruling, and that many of them left the main body of Israel during the time of bondage in Egypt, becomes very clear when they examine the tribal genealogies as recorded in the Old Testament. These record the main lines of descent from Pharez, Judah, for a very long time. But the record of descendants of Zara, Judah, apparently ends with the 3rd generation. Since these genealogies, and especially those of the chief families of each tribe, were kept with great care, any omission would indicate that those omitted were no longer in the land when the record was made. As the genealogy of Zara, Judah, apparently ceases with the 3rd generation, it naturally follows that most, if not all, of Zara's descendants must have left the main body during the time of Israel's captivity in Egypt, and therefore before the Exodus with the mind, where then did they go? Since they were descendants of Judah, their emblem was a lion. It is very unlikely that they would have given up this emblem of their identity and descent, even though bitterly resentful towards the rest of the tribe of Judah. They therefore kept the lion as their emblem, but added their own variations to it to show that they were entirely separate and distinct from the tribe of Judah and Israel. In their bitterness, they would make the difference as great as possible without actually doing away with the symbol. So instead of a tawny, couchant lion, they depicted theirs as both rampant and red. As a result, the rampant red lion became the emblem of the Zara branch of the tribe of Judah. The red hand. Returning again to the birth of Judah's twin sons, as recorded in Genesis 38, we find that the particular circumstances of this birth gave the descendants of Zara another emblem. Note again verse 28. And so it was when she was giving birth that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, this one came out first. Here we have an emblem which is absolutely unique, one which could apply to no one else, and one to which the historical record draws special and empathic attention. A hand, red, from the blood of birth, circled by a scarlet thread or cord. In this unique way, a red hand circled by a scarlet thread or cord also became an emblem of the Zara branch of the tribe of Judah. Pre-Exodus migrations. As we have already seen, the descendants of Zara, Judah, or most of them, decided to leave their brethren and flee out of Egypt to some new land or lands where they could establish independent kingdoms of their own. History and traditions records records that they divided into two or more groups, which they fled across the Mediterranean Sea from Egypt in different directions. One of these groups was led by Calcol, also known as Cecrops, a great-grandson of Zara. Calcol and his group fled to Greece and founded the city of Athens. Another group led by Darda or Dardanus ended up in Torad and became the ancestors of the Trojans. Not long prior to the Exodus, Gaethelus or Meled, a son of Creops or Calco, returned to Egypt after killing a man. So Gathlius, he was the son of Creops, and Creops was the great grandson of Zara. So that's what they're saying, right? So Creops was the great grandson of Zara from Judah, right? And then his son's name was Galius, and he ended up killing a man and returned back to Egypt. It says, after assisting one of the pharaohs in his fight against the Ethiopians, Gaethelus, or King Galios, was given the hand of the pharaoh's daughter, Skada. And like I said in the previous video about the McAlpin bloodline, is that the Greek king Galios, that he married Scotta, but Scotta was supposed to have been Mary Aten, which was the firstborn daughter of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Okay. So, anyways, after living 7 years in Egypt, Galeus fled the land at the outset of the plagues and traveled westward to a land known today as Spain, where he settled for a number of years. During their time in Spain, Galeus and his people founded a city which still bears the name of the ancestor Zara, Zaragossa. At this point, we should realize that these descendants of Zara were racially Hebrews, being descended from Eber or Haber through Abraham. Wherever they traveled, they left this name like a footprint marking their journey to distant lands. Thus, the river on the banks of which they founded the city Zaragoza is still to this day called the Ebro, and to the land itself they give the name Iberia, the land of the Hebri or Hebrews. After residing for some time in Spain, Gaitheilus died, and his widow Scotta, along with their sons, left the land and voyaged northward to the isle we now call Ireland. Once again, they took their name with them, calling their new home Heberland or Hebrania, and the islands to the north of it, Hebrides. Then, with Erman as their king, these descendants of Zara Judah founded the kingdom of Osir shortly after the Exodus, and from that time until the present, a matter nearly 3,400 years, the emblem of Osir had been a red hand circled with a scarlet cord. The red hand as a racial emblem. Not only that, but 3 of Osir's 6 counties, as well as the towns of Bangor and Dungannon, have the red hand as a part of their official emblem. Now, it is true, of course, that since the division of Ireland in 1920, the official arms of Northern Ireland show the red hand along with the without the scarlet cord, but this is no way alters the fact that the ancient and traditional emblem of Ulster was and still is the red hand circled with a scarlet cord. The use of the red hand as a racial emblem is not confined to just Ulster, or even to just Ireland. In Scotland, it is found in the arms of several of the old families, and those at least 14 of the clan chiefs. So these are the clan chiefs in Scotland that bear the red hand, which was supposed to go back to the history of Zara, which goes back to Zara, right? Because of one of his descendants, Galeos, which was the son of a man that ended up finding Athens in Greece, and that his children, Galeos' children, because he had defended or helped the Pharaoh to defeat the Ethiopians, that he was able to marry the Pharaoh's daughter. But because of his ancestry as a Hebrew from the tribe of Judah, he took that symbol of Zara, his ancestor, he took that symbol with him. And he also and he named places after his ancestors, like they said in Spain, Iberia, then went to Ireland, and then the name pops up there, okay, and then a symbol as well, right? So here's the clan chiefs. They said Davison McBain, which is also could be known as McBean or Macbeth, McDonald, McIntosh, McKinnon, McLean, McLaunchin, McNeil, McNaughton, McPherson, McGilvery, McDonald of Sleep, Clanranald, and Shaw of Rothy Merches. Color variants of the emblem appear in the arms of several other chiefs. Okay. Therefore, by the use of the red hand, some of the people of Scotland also point to their Israelitish origins as descendants of Zara, the branch of the tribe of Judah. The declaration of Arbroath. Okay. At this point, an interesting question arises. Who is it that the Scots, who later invaded what is now called Scotland in the year 501 AD, also have among their emblems the red hand that has been associated with Ulster since around 1350 BC? Not all of the Scots came solely from Ulster. Their own records state that a large number of them came from Scythia, which is the ancient name of the country to the west and north of the Caspian Sea. Thus, the register house in Edinburgh, Scotland, there is an ancient document called the Declaration of Arbroath, which consists of an official letter sent to the Pope by the Parliament of Scotland in 1320 AD and signed by King Robert the Bruce and some 30 of the Scottish nobles, in which it is clearly stated that the branch of the Scots came directly from Scythia after living for a long period of time in Spain. This document states that they moved from Spain to the country now called Scotland 1,200 years after the outgoing of the people of Israel. It could very well be that this branch of the Scots originally came to Spain with Gallius, who himself came originally from Scythia and then elected to stay in Spain when Scotta and her sons moved into Ireland. They could have then joined their brethren in Scotland many years later after a long stay in Spain. However, it could be argued that this outgoing of the people of Israel refers to the fall of Israel and the deportation of the 10 tribes of Assyria, rather than the exodus of Israel from Egypt. If this refers to the Exodus, which occurred somewhere around the year 1487 BC, then this means that the Scots, if they came into what is now Scotland 1,200 years later, must have arrived there around the year 287 BC. Whereas Scottish history shows that they did not arrive until approximately 500 AD. If the deportation of Israel to Assyria is meant, which was completed in 718 BC, then this branch of Scots arrived in Scotland in 483 AD, or a few more years later, as indicated in the 1703 translation of the Declaration of Arbroath, which brings us very close to the year of 501 AD, which Scottish history gives as the date of the Scots did indeed arrive. If then this branch of the Scots came from Scythia through Spain directly into Scotland, it seems very unlikely that the red hand of the Scottish heraldry came solely from Oser. In support of this, we should note that the red hand, as it appears in Scottish heraldry, is not encircled by a scarlet cord as was the ancient Oser emblem. However, despite the slight difference, it is obvious the red hand, sometimes pink as it appears in Scottish heraldry, and the red hand of Oser are the same emblem. When we consider the fact that this later branch of the Scots claim they came into Scotland from Cynthia, and that they mention their stay in Spain but say nothing of a stay in Ulster, it becomes evident that the red hand must have been an ancestral emblem with both branches of the Scots brought with them from some ancient homeland. Of even greater importance, it is the fact that the Scots dated the arrival of a later branch in Scotland from an event in the history of Israel. This is something they would be very unlikely to do unless they themselves were Israelites. There, further, they say they came from Cynthia, which is the place of which the Israel people migrated after their departure from Assyria. In view of the origin of the red hand emblem recorded in Genesis 38, and in the fact that the red hand thereby became one of the emblems of the descendants of Zara, Judah, we have to conclude that the people who brought the red hand to Ulster so long ago, and the Scots who later brought it to Scotland, though coming at different times, had a common origin in the Zara branch of the Israelitish tribe of Judah. Finally, in consideration of the heraldic significance of the red hand, we should note that as descendants of Zara, Judah, the first settlers of Ulster were also entitled to the use of the rampant red hand. In official arms of Northern Ireland, we indeed see that it holds an important place therein. Another point of interest in those arms is that the red hand has as its background a six-pointed star, which is the reminiscent of the form of the hexagram or the shield of David, which is significant in another story. Now, Dardanus. With these things in mind, let us now turn to the other part of Zara's descendants, which fled out of Egypt under the leadership of another of Zara's great-grandsons called Darda. In the authorized version of the Old Testament, this name is spelled Dara, but in the margin of the alternate spelling, Darda. The Jewish historian Josephus calls him Dardanus, and significant because the group which he led went northward across the Mediterranean Sea to the northwest corner of what we call today Asia Minor. There, under the rule of Darda or Darnus, they established a kingdom later called Troy on the southern shore of that narrow body of water which bears his name to this day, Dardanellus. Hundreds of years later, this kingdom was destroyed in war with the Greeks. Some of the survivors fled northwards into Europe, where their emblem, the rampant red lion, appears in the arms of some of the nation's provinces and old families in the lands near the bordering of the North Sea. Others fled westward across the Mediterranean to Spain and on the British Isles, where they and some members of the Israelite tribes, they were first settlers in much of what is now called Scotland. A large group led by Prince Brutus, a direct descendant of Dardanus and Zara, lived in Italy for a while, where they founded a royal line before moving on to Britain by way of Spain. They arrived in Britain around the year 1100 BC. Although Britain had a considerable population long before the arrival of these Trojans, their coming and their setting up of this transplanted the Trojan kingdom is actual beginning of the British nation. The rampant red lion. From the time until the coming of the Saxons into South Britain, England, 1,600 years later, a rampant red hand was the emblem of all of Britain. With the coming of the Saxons, its use in England as a national emblem was discontinued, being replaced by the emblems brought in by the Saxons and the Normans. Nevertheless, North Britain, Scotland, it is the chief emblem as found in Scottish Standard. The fact that the use of the rampant red lion as a clan and family emblem is found in Scotland indicates that many of the Scottish people are descended from Zara, Judah, and the examination of the arms of the clan chiefs and other ancient families will show that at least 20 of them contain the rampant red lion. A color variant of this emblem appears in several more. The earldom of Fife, Aberney, Lord Salton, Dunnes, Duff, for Brackenson, Guthrie, Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, Leslie, Lindsay, McBain, Mackintosh, McLaunchin, Clanranald, Maitland, Earl of Lauderdale, Moncrieff, MacDonald of Sleat, Shaw of Rothy Merchants, Speens of Lathan, Stewart, Marcus of Bute, and Wemyss. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right there. So basically, what they basically was telling people is that you had another descendant of Zara who founded the city of Troy, and that the people that was with him were called Trojans, and that later that city fell because they had a war with the Greeks. And then after that, he brought his kingdom, Dardanus. He brought his kingdom with him to what you call today Great Britain. But their cousins that descended from Galios, which was also a descendant of Zara, by way of the great grandson, Kilios, that they went up into Ireland and Scotland. Okay, so that's the reason why you find the rampant red lion, or the red hand. You had the red hand of Ulster in Ireland, but then you also can find the red hand also in Scotland. And then you have the rampant lion, which is standing up and is red to represent their ancestor Zara, which came from the tribe of Judah. So now I'm going to show you the emblem of Queen Elizabeth II. And now you see here, this is the image of an old picture of Queen Elizabeth II. And she claimed descent from King Alpin, of King Kenneth MacAlpin. And as you see here, on her coat of arms, you see there's lions. There's a lion at the top with a crown on, and then there's one standing up to the left with a crown, and then you have that little red rampant lion right there on the shield. On the upper right hand side, you see that red lion. That's the red rampant lion that they're saying that symbol comes from the Hebrew origins of Dardanus, that he was of Hebrew descent from Zara, who descended from Judah. And one of Zara's descendants was supposed to have been Dardanus, and he brought that Hebrew bloodline from Egypt up into Great Britain by way of coming from Greece, right? Whereas his relative Galios and his wife Scotta and their children went into Spain and then founded a city there in Spain, and then went up into Ireland, and then also migrated over into Scotland as well, and created the kingdoms of Ulster in Ireland, and also crossed over from Spain into Scotland. And that's the reason why they have the other symbol of Zara, which is the red hand with the scarlet cord around it, around the hand. That symbol of Zara, why that's the symbol of Ireland and Scotland. But in England, this particular symbol of the rampant red lion used to be the symbol of Great Britain, but was discontinued after the Saxons had came into Great Britain. Okay? So that's the history of that.
King Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia, to Britain for a 3-day state visit. The Duke of Gloucester escorts His Imperial Majesty down the gangway. The Emperor wears the uniform of an Ethiopian field marshal. From Portsmouth, he journeys to Victoria Station. A crowd of Ethiopians watch Her Majesty the Queen welcome the Emperor to her capital. This is his first visit for many years. He was last in this country as a refugee after Mussolini's troops had invaded his kingdom. The Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen Mother greet the Emperor, who is known to his own people as the King of Kings, the conquering Lion of Judah, elect of God, power of the Trinity.
So as you see here, this is a picture of the Emperor of Ethiopia and how he met Queen Elizabeth II, who is his relative, because according to bloodline, the Emperor of Ethiopia, King Haile Selassie, that he was supposed to have been a descendant of the tribe of Judah as well, which would have made him technically Queen Elizabeth II's cousin because of her descent from Zara, who was supposed to have been a descendant of Judah as well. Please drop me a like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell if you would like to know when I drop a new video. Thanks. I'm out.